Boom. Merlin, official Nevada resident.
This time I'm not visiting.
I said resident. Resident.
Resident.
Yes.
Nevada resident.
That's right.
I am here.
Welcome to Vegas.
I'm, God, I can't believe it.
I know, right? It's been so long. You brought Mark with you.
I brought a taste of Bakersfield.
Yes.
And your helper for mover.
So Mark is looking for a house now.
Yeah, he's already here. He's already like scanning. He's like, all right, I'm next.
Yeah. That is so awesome.
Yeah, finally.
Right for the new year. Today is the last day of 2021. Yeah.
New Year's Eve, perfect timing. Here in the Dragon's Lair, the place that I wanted to be. Remember when I came here at the grand opening party?
That was last March. Yeah.
And made it happen, man. Made it happen. Finally here. Merlin has arrived in Las Vegas.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. All right, we're going to train some chest today. I wanted to film today because we've been talking about this move for you for so long. It seemed like it was just dragging. You had a lot of hurdles and things to go through before you got here.
A lot of hurdles.
It was not an easy road, and then now you moved here with Kim, her 2 kids, and we get to be training partner again. So
I know it's like
back on the grind.
Yeah. I do come here. I'm going to just in case you guys. I just want to quickly say, if you guys see me hobbling around a little bit, I have a knee injury.
Yes.
Pretty bad knee injury, which I'm actually going to the doctor for next week. Thank you, Jay Cutler, for recommending you, Doc.
Yeah.
So if you see me hobbling, it's because I have a knee injury. But
it's only temporary.
It's only temporary, but I still wanted to be here today. Make sure we get in our workout. Last workout of 2021.
But the first one of many for 2022.
Yes, in Vegas. Vegas, baby.
All right, let's get in there.
All right. Okay, so the first exercise that we did here was I used an incline press machine, and the technique that I utilized was a 4 to 5 second eccentric or negative rep. I love using eccentrics, negatives in a lot of my workouts because I feel that they're excellent for causing muscle fiber trauma, which of course when that is repaired equals more muscle growth. So as you can see, it's a controlled push to the top, a slow 4 second negative, and we're shooting for somewhere about 6 to 8 repetitions on this movement. So for the second movement, I have Mark Durando performing what is known as the Smith press to the neck. Some people call it a guillotine press. I'm focusing on the upper chest, which I normally do with most people because the upper chest seems to be a harder portion of the chest to build than the lower chest. So I focus a lot of movements here. So the technique that we're using for this exercise is 4 second positives or concentric reps. If you haven't done these before, these are very, very difficult. I actually think they're more difficult than negatives quite a bit because the body likes to try to push the weight as fast as possible. It's how we are naturally built. So slowing it down to a 45 second positive rep is very, very difficult. So don't go as heavy as you normally would in this movement. Again, we're bringing the bar down to just about the clavicle level, and it's a controlled 4 to 5 second press to the top. Great movement for the upper chest. Okay, so for the next movement, we're using an incline fly machine, which is exclusive here to the Dragon's Lair. I haven't seen this one anywhere else. This is a great movement for isolating or targeting that upper chest muscle in the fly position. So it's a slightly inclined machine. What we're using for this movement is a 4 to 5 second stretch position, which is also an amazing way to break down muscle fibers. Studies show that when you hold a muscle under tension in the stretch position, it causes a lot of fiber trauma, and of course that results in hypertrophy. So you want to hold that bottom position carefully for about 4 to 5 seconds. You don't want to come out of that bottom too quickly. You want to do it controlled, get a nice squeeze to the top. And this is a great movement done with dumbbells or a machine or cables. Just use that technique of that stretch at the bottom. Okay, so the next movement is what I call a side chest press. We're doing this unilaterally. I love unilateral movements. It's a great way to focus on one side of the body, equal out strength imbalances, and get a little bit more focus into the muscle. You're going to feel this exercise in the inner portion of the chest. Of course, you can't just isolate the inner portion of the chest, but we're looking to attack those fibers a little bit more strongly. The technique that we're using on this movement is a 4 second hold at the contracted position. So what you want to do is you want to push the weight as far as you can, so you're trying to actually push one pectoral into the other. Feel that really, really tight squeeze by the sternum, and you want to hold that squeeze for 4 seconds, but don't just hold the weight there. Actually, you want to contract the muscle actively, so you're actually pushing against the weight and forcing a harder contraction. An excellent way to feel that inner chest burn. Okay, to wrap up this chest workout, I'm using another unilateral movement, a seated fly machine. I really like this machine because not only can you hit the stretch portion of the movement, you also get a good contracted rep in the middle. I like to use a unilateral movement on this one quite often because this way you can actually bring the handle across the chest a little bit, getting a little bit stronger contraction than if you're using both hands where kind of the fists meet in the middle and it kind of limits the range of motion. I didn't use any specific technique on this movement because we'd already done my 4 main techniques that I like to use. And this one is really more to just get a final pump in the chest, high reps, not a very quick movement, but just not like piston-like, slow and controlled, but again, high reps, the weight's not that heavy, just feeling the stretch and squeeze, and just finishing off with an amazing pump.
All right, Biggie.
Yeah.
This we're
Just
in Vegas.
The first Ask Merlin in Vegas.
I know, the first in a long time, actually.
In a long
so
time, yeah.
I know you get a lot of questions online, on Instagram and on Facebook, so I really wanted to bring this back on the channel and on your segment because I think people can really benefit from the questions that people may have. So you had some good questions this week?
Yeah, I mean, I had so many to pick from because, as you said, it's been a while since we did this. But the first question I think was kind of excellent because it kind of tied into the workout that we just demonstrated here. And what this guy wanted to know is, he said, he's been following my training, he's been using my techniques, he's been using a lot of my ESPX2 workouts, which is kind of what this was. Actually, this was more along the lines of spec. And he wanted to know, as obviously we used, negative emphasis, we used positive emphasis, we used stretch emphasis, and also contracted emphasis. He wanted to know, do I do that at every single workout? Do I always use these techniques with every exercise, every single workout? Or do I ever break away and do more of a conventional type of routine? And I thought that was a good question because I guess a lot of people who watch it might think this is the only thing that I do. I will say that I do use these techniques a lot. I don't always use the same ones at every workout. Sometimes I combine all of them. Sometimes I may only use 1 or 2 of them. Sometimes I may not use any of them all because I think that even with these techniques, as good as they are, and I think that they are excellent for increasing time under tension, forcing the muscle itself and the central nervous system to deal with something that they're not used to, which is basically what most people do, is just up and down with their repetitions. I think that the body gets very used to that. That's why a lot of people stagnate. Even if you're getting stronger, I have to emphasize that even if you're getting stronger, strength is finite, and after a certain period of time, you can't get much stronger, otherwise we'd all be bench pressing, trucks, and that just doesn't happen. But I still will at times break away from these techniques and allow myself or my clients to use what would be a more natural cadence of repetition. So what I mean by that is basically like some workouts, let's just say, I might not be emphasizing any of the techniques and maybe I'll emphasize rep ranges. So like maybe for the first exercise, I'll try to reach failure around 7 to 9 repetitions. The second exercise maybe 10 to 12. The third exercise maybe 13 to 15, and the final exercise maybe 16 to 20. That's an example. I call that rep range training. That's part of my PRS training system, which was the first system that I came out with a long time ago. And I will allow myself or my clients to just use a natural rep cadence. Now, I still want people to be careful not to move the weight ever too quickly, because if you're just doing a 1 second up, 1 second down type of a thing, and you're doing 10 repetitions, the set's only going to last for about 20 seconds, and that is not enough time under tension to get optimal growth. You want to be under tension, what I have found, minimum 30 seconds, but as much as 50 seconds a set. So let's just say it's 7 to 9, and you want to fall into that sweet spot. So if you're doing about 9 repetitions, you want each repetition to take about 4 seconds. So maybe about a 2 second down, 2 second up, or 3 second down, 1 second up. So you just kind of adjust the cadence to the repetitions to kind of get into that sweet spot of training. So what I'm basically saying is that there is no, the overall emphasis of my training is that there is no one training technique or one training system that should dominate all of your training or that's going to produce results forever. So you want to change things up. There are times in my training where we do sets of 26 to 30 reps, 35 to 40 reps, just moving it like a piston. There will be times where I may move the repetition slowly for the first 5 repetitions, and then we'll do 10 quick ones and then go back to 5 slow ones. So there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, as you say. So no, I don't always use these techniques in every single workout. I'll change things up because I like to keep the body, the mind, the central nervous system off balance. But I will say that if you do watch my training as opposed to other trainers, I do focus a lot more on time under tension so that the weight is not moved too quickly. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is they just try to move the weight from point A to point B so quickly just to get the set done. But 10 reps performed slowly is going to be a lot more effective than 10 reps performed super quickly. So mix things up, use the techniques, mix up the techniques. Sometimes maybe use them for a few weeks at a time and then go to your own cadence, and I think you'll find better results that way. Okay, so the next question I think is valuable to, especially for people who are maybe more beginner intermediate, because the supplement market is very, very, there's so many things out there. There's so many products, there's so many compounds, there's so many different things. People get confused. What do I take? What do I not take? Some people are taking 30 different things, so they really need to be taking 30 different things. So somebody really wanted to know if I had to just kind of narrow things down to what I think, based on my experience in the industry, my knowledge from my studies and everything that I've done over the last 30 years. If I had to narrow it down to like 4 or 5 compounds or ingredients that I think are really, really important, really, really valuable, that have really proven themselves in the bodybuilding and athletic world, what would they be? Which I think is a great question. Number one, and this has remained number one literally since it was discovered, like in the 1990s, is creatine. Creatine came out, it was probably around 1990 or something like that, and it came onto the world by storm. Like, it was like, oh my God, like people thought it was like a steroid, and for some people it produced those kind of results. And now that it's been out for so long, people have kind of lost their excitement for creatine because it's not the newest, greatest, and latest. But honestly, it probably has more in the trenches proof and way more scientific, well done scientific studies that back up the efficacy of creatine, that I still say that's the number one product out there for anybody who is looking to gain size, gain strength, and just make more progress from a resistance training program. Even for people who are like sprinters, who have to just who use fast twitch muscle fiber, who are not necessarily bodybuilders, even for them, it's actually shown, even for people who are getting older, to retain muscle function later on in life. It helps increase IGF-1 levels, which is a hormone that can help you grow more. It increases ATP levels. It decreases myostatin, which is a hormone that keeps us from actually reaching our growth potential, because it kind of stunts muscle growth or keeps it under control. So it's got so many good qualities to it. I think creatine's number one, so I'll stop there. I think that L-leucine, branched chain amino acids is great. Branched chain amino acids is a fantastic product. I think those are great to use in between meals. I think that it definitely helps to keep your blood sugar under control in between meals. I definitely think that it helps aid recovery and growth. But if I had to pick one amino acid out of those 3 that make up the branched chain amino acids, L-leucine I think is number one. L-leucine taken about 5 grams after a workout. It's great to take with creatine, by the way. It switches on something called the mTOR pathway, which is basically an anabolic pathway in the human body that after training, that kind of gets switched on, but L-leucine will basically give it a turbocharger. And by switching on the mTOR pathway, that's basically opening up the floodgates to growth. So, and many studies, and physiologically it's shown that L-leucine will help to augment this pathway. So I think this is a very, very important amino acid compound for people to take just on its own. Doesn't have to be part of a complex. Just plain L-leucine powder, 5 grams. Take it after your workouts. Take it with creatine. awesome for augmenting muscle growth, and has been also some studies that have shown that helps burn body fat as well. So that's obviously an added benefit. Another one is L-citrulline. L-citrulline is great for augmenting the muscle pump. There are a lot of compounds out there that augment the muscle pump. L-citrulline is one of them. If you take citrulline on its own before a workout, I recommend about 6 grams. If you take it as part of a complex of other pump ingredients, you could probably get away with about 3 grams. The muscle pump is extremely important for nutrient transport, for oxygen transport, for transporting whatever other amino acids you may have in your system to the muscles. And when you volumize a muscle with blood and expand the cells, that acts also as an anabolic trigger. When you expand the cells, it's almost like it's telling the body that the cells need to be bigger. They need to be expanded, so it actually triggers muscle growth. So I think L-citrulline is a great, definitely another great compound. Beta-alanine, I would also put on that list. Some people get a little bit of the itchiness from beta-alanine. That's nothing to be alarmed about. That's going to go away after a period of time. The technical term for that is paresthesia. Some people are more sensitive to it than others. Generally, about 3.2 grams of beta-alanine is good before a workout. If you do get that strong itchy sensation and it's really annoying, then I would recommend maybe breaking it up, doing about 1.6 maybe in the morning, and then another 1.6 before training. And if you break it up that way, you'll have it in your body, but you might not get that itchiness feeling. But that works very, very well, especially synergistically or additive, not just additively, but synergistically, which is like exponentially with creatine. And it will definitely help with strength endurance, more so than just, like, creatine can really help with being stronger, like a 1-rep max or that kind of a thing. But beta-alanine I find is really, really good for increasing, like if you could do 225 for 8 on a bench press, with beta-alanine, maybe it'll be 225 for 10, so it's better for that strength endurance. So that's another really, really great compound to use. And I would really say those 4 are the first 4 that pop into mind. Other things like essential amino acids, and like I said, the branched chain amino acids are great. But I think that those compounds are the first 4 that jump into my mind. And of course, we can continue this series. Dave and I can do more questions where I could talk about more things that help with transport of nutrients, insulin transport and other things that might raise growth hormone and stuff like that. But without writing a book right here, we'll just say we'll keep it at those 4 right now and discuss more later. So give those a try, keep those in your program, and you'll definitely grow more.
Awesome.